Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Live, baby, from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Charlie User producing today's show. Hope you all are well. A Friday is here, potentially for central Wisconsin and southeastern Wisconsin. More storms coming in tonight. However, after tonight, at least for this area, it looks like sun and avoiding major storms for at least a week, potentially. Temperatures are going to drop this weekend, and things may be windy tomorrow. There's your weather forecast for everybody that was wanting to know the weather forecast. But I'll take sun and wind over thunderstorms and potential tornadoes and hail and all that other stuff.
Well, you could be like Ziggy and go chase them.
No.
You're not going to do that? That's not your thing?
Never in a million years would I do that. No, absolutely not. Coming up on today's show, Don Wojczulis. We were going to have him on yesterday, and then the Brewers game ended at like 3 o'clock, so we never got to him. So we're going to do this, try number 2. Don Wojczulis, College Sports Weekly. Lots to get into with him. I mean, a couple of things happened last night that we never would have had a chance to talk to Don about. And, of course, catch Don in College Sports Weekly tomorrow morning, 9 to 11. With his buddy Dan Underberg. They follow, of course, Garbinian on golf with Chuck Garbinian from 7 to 9. And Don is going to come on. We're going to talk about the Badgers getting a player in the transfer portal, Marquette getting a player in the transfer portal, Milwaukee getting a player in the transfer portal. Actually, I don't think that was a transfer portal. I think that was a straight-up recruit is what happened with Milwaukee there for the kid from Beloit. So we'll talk about all those additions coming to the different schools here in the area. Looking forward to that. All right, so not only do we have Don Wojczulis, but we're going to talk with J.R. Radcliffe, the sports trends writer for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, a trending sports writer for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel at 4 o'clock. He put out a piece today and did like 3 different draft simulations using 3 different type of things. One of them was our guys over there at ProFootballNetwork.com that we like to use. He used another one with the ESPN best board. So we'll kind of dive into that during the Green and Gold update coming up at 4 o'clock. Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Havish, and Rotier. Your chance to nominate somebody between now and 4:20 or at 4:20 if you want to dial up and call in to nominate somebody. It can be anybody you want it to be. It can be somebody on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I know for sure Brandon Snide's being nominated from 9 to noon with John Kuhn. So it can be any of us. It can be friends, family members of yours. It can be callers into the shows. I know several people were texting and getting mad at Ram the last time he called in. So maybe you want to have Ram plead the fifth on a certain thing that he said. It can be anybody in the sports industry that you want to come up with as well. All you got to do for that is 414-677-1250. Text it in now or call it in at 420. 414-677-1250. And if you don't have a bunch, Charlie will, and we'll have a bunch to play there. Then it's Follow the Money with our guy, Austin Herdina, from the Potawatomi Sportsbook, coming up around 4:40 or so. And then Think Sparky Miss, brought to you by the Admirals, as they play their last regular season home game of the year coming up tonight at Panther Arena. We're going to start off talking about the Milwaukee Brewers. And the Brewers bounce back nicely, right? You get 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays, snapping a 6-game losing streak, never fell under 500, quickly climbed to 2 games above 500, and are feeling pretty good about yourself at this point. I am interested in your thoughts on some of the guys that are missing for the Milwaukee Brewers right now. Now, Jackson Chourio is out still, thanks to the WBC. Andrew Vaughn is still out. Christian Yelich just recently out. Now he'll be out to the middle of May. Quinn Priester was on the backfield working on in Arizona, and he's getting closer to a rehab assignment. Jared Koenig, he is out as well. I am curious, 2 games over 500, who do you miss seeing the most? Who do you think really could help this team more than anybody else of these other guys? Who do you miss the most of the guys that are out right now for this Milwaukee Brewers team? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Also on social media, we are streaming live on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. Also, you can find our shorts and all kinds of videos there on our YouTube page at WI Sports Radio as well. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Instagram as well. All right, Charlie. Of the guys that are out right now for the crew right now, who do you think would make the biggest impact? Who are you missing the most for this Brewers team right now?
I think who I'm missing the most and who would make the biggest impact is a little different in my mind. I think Churrio's the one I'm missing the most. I want to see him just be back in that Brewers uniform, back on the field. He's one of the most fun players on the team. He's could be the best player on the team when he's at his peak, but I don't know if he's just there yet. If we're talking about like just guys that are going to be able to help this team, it's Christian Yelich, and then I think it's Jared Koenig. I think you need to be able to get another arm into that bullpen who is a MLB level arm, a really good MLB level arm when he's at his best, and can give a break to some of these other guys, especially the other left-handers that are in that group that feel like they're pitching every single day when we talk about guys like Aaron Ashby. So it'd be nice, and I think it would solidify that group, help give them a little bit more regularity with their breaks for some of these other guys if Jared Koenig's back in that room. And then on offense, I mean, Christian Yelich just started off the season so strong. And I think when you saw him start to get those rest days, when he had the injury, that's when you saw this team just kind of overall lose a little bit of juice. And I think you could say that last year too, when he left this team towards the end of the regular season, you saw a little bit of juice just kind of drip from this team. And I think that's something that you don't want to see continue. And if that means keeping Christian Yelich on the field, then that's what it's going to be. And I think that can get this team going again. But overall, I think Jared Koenig is probably the guy that this team needs the most.
Jared Koenig. Oh, yeah. Come on. No, I'm not there on Jared Koenig. Y'all might be there on Jared Koenig. I'm not there on Jared Koenig. I want Andrew Vaughn. Andrew Vaughn is the guy that they really need Andrew Vaughn back right now. Now let's look at this from a couple of different angles, okay? I get back Andrew Vaughn, who defensively I like. I get back Andrew Vaughn's power and average, which again, we saw there in the second half of last year. I like that as well. With Andrew Vaughn back, now all of a sudden my outfield can be Bowers and Frelick and Mitchell in my outfield when I want. Now, again, is Bowers the best outfielder in the world? No, probably not, but good enough to where you can get his bat in the lineup, and I can have Vaughn's bat in the lineup, and I can have Sanchez's bat in the lineup from the DH spot, and I can still have Contreras catching. So now all of a sudden, I make my lineup a lot deeper. Now, we're not getting any faster, that's for sure. I mean, with Sanchez, Vaughn, and Bowers all in the lineup, they're not going to steal a ton of bags with those three guys in the middle of the lineup, but you literally have the opportunity to change the game with one swing of the bat and get rid of some of these slap hitters that they continuously put in the lineup on a day in, day out basis for this Brewers team. I love Churrio, obviously, and I agree with you. From a talent perspective, he definitely has the opportunity to be the best player on this roster when going right. He definitely was not going right during the World Baseball Classic, chasing at pitches out of the zone and so forth, which is something that we saw from Churrio last year too. It didn't appear there was much difference in Jackson Churrio in the World Baseball Classic as there was last year when we saw Jackson Churrio, which doesn't mean necessarily he's going to be a bad player necessarily, but he's probably not even going to be Christian Yelich last year coming up this year if he doesn't figure that aspect of it out, right? So we have that going. So I would like to have him back. He had speed. He gives you that other element. He helps defensively, obviously, in the outfield as well. Clearly, the outfield of Mitchell, Frelick, and Churrio is going to be one of the best defensive outfields in baseball, right? I mean, there's no disagreement about that,
at least,
right?
Yeah.
It should be one of the best defensive outfields in baseball. So I love that aspect of what he brings defensively. I just really want the power of Vaughn and his ability to turn games. And I just think that helps out a lot. Then I got to worry about Gary Sanchez ever playing first base ever again. And that also makes me feel very good about the situation if I can have Vaughn there. I like Priester, but you know what? For those of you that have ever doubted how damn good Chris Hook is as a pitching coach, let me show you Brandon Sproat yesterday. I'm telling you, that dude, he's the secret sauce. You could talk about the trader You can talk about how great Pat Murphy is, all that. The secret sauce is Chris Hook and what he does with these pitchers. McGill goes out there and looks like McGill again. Again, and I'm not saying he fixed him for good. Don't know. But you saw glimpses of what he was prior to having these last couple of outings. Sproat, that right there, yesterday, that's kind of what they thought they might have with him going forward when they made that trade. You saw what he did with Kyle Harrison previous to Sanchez taking him out, that he had him cooking in the right direction as well. Chris Hook is the magic sauce. So while I would love Quinn Priester back, I think they can continue on and still be okay without Quinn Priester for a little while. I don't think that's end of the world stuff. But first base is definitely an issue without question. And the lack of that piece in the middle of the lineup that people have to at least kind of respect. Now, if Vaughn comes back and looks like Vaughn of the White Sox, well, then, this all blows up in our face and we're like, oh, we're screwed at first base.
Why can't Jake Bauers be an everyday first baseman? Like, why not?
Because Andrew Vaughn's better.
But I'm just saying that if Andrew Vaughn comes back, like you're saying, and looks like White Sox Andrew Vaughn,
well,
like
why he's not going to play?
Exactly. So why are we freaking out? Why can't Jake Bauers, the way he's played so far to start the season, tied for the team lead in home runs, has played much better than a lot of people expected?
He's hitting 218.
I get it, but again,
on the road, he's hitting 67.
All right, that's not great.
I understand.
Give him the time. Like, he's playing better than what we expected.
Fine. So he doesn't suck completely.
Exactly.
But that does not mean that he's a starting first baseman. I understand that everybody loves this dude because of Tommy Wirtz. Tommy Wirtz single-handedly by himself has gathered people around the state of Wisconsin to root for Jake Bauers. And Jake Bauers seems like a nice guy. But if we're talking about hitting for good average, hitting for power, all of that, me personally, I think Andrew Vaughn's a more talented player. Now, Jake Bauers might be a great bench piece, right? That guy that can fill in once or twice a week, guy can come and get you a pinch hit home run. As we've stated, pinch hitting is one of the most difficult things to do in pro sports. You're sitting over there for 8 innings cold, haven't taken a pitch the entire time, and now you got to come in and more than likely face somebody who is warm and ready and on top of their game, and you've taken a couple of swings down underneath the stadium maybe, and that's all you got. And now you're expected to do something in that situation. It's very, very difficult. And Bauers has shown a knack to being pretty good at it. So from that perspective, maybe that's what he is. Am I convinced that he's a starting first baseman and he's better than Andrew Vaughn? No, I'm not. I'm not there, but you're not there on Vaughn because you don't buy into the second half of last year what he did when the Brewers got him in a trade, which is fair. Yeah. I'm not saying you should be, right? I'm just saying Vaughn was a guy that was picked in the first round, was going to be that guy, and looked to be that guy in his first year. And then whatever happened, he derailed and went down to the minor leagues and was a train wreck. Got here, fresh start, and away we go. I don't see any signs yet that Vaughn is going to regress. I didn't see anything in spring training that said to me, oh boy, this looks like the guy in Chicago. We're in trouble. I haven't seen that yet. We get to that point, fine, but let's just slow the roll on the Jake Bauers stuff. Like, he's not
well,
bad.
And I think part of the reason that, again, he seems a little better than his stats say is just because of how bad the left side of the infield has been and the bottom of that lineup has been. So
I think nobody for the left side of the infield outside of minor league.
That's what I'm saying. So like when you compare like Jake Bauers to what's happening down there, he is a starting caliber player for this team.
Yes,
currently.
But he's not better than the guy that they got at first base. Now, if he played at third base, fine, I'll listen. If he's third, I said that last year. Did I not say that last year? I said
you said everybody at third base. You talked about Sal Frelick at third base.
Yes, right. Everybody. And Sal Frelick was at second base. I was wanting him at second base. Leave Tarang at shortstop. Let Joey Ortiz play third. But again, that's the type of stuff. You took Rengifo and over like 3 days taught him how to play first base. Now, third base, I think, is more difficult than first base. So that's not as easy of a transition. I wouldn't be against it. I mean, think about it from this perspective. If you're Jake Bauers, and let's say you think you're as good as Tommy Wirtz thinks you are, right? And Vaughn's at first and Vaughn's hitting. Tarang's at second and he's going. Ortiz not doing anything at short. Rengifo still struggling at third base. The outfield, Mitchell's going, Churio's going, and Frelick's going. Contreras is going behind the plate. If it's me, I go to Pat Murphy and go, can I take ground balls at third base? I want to just see. And Murphy's going to like me like, get the hell out of my office.
David Hamilton has a breakout coming. What do you mean?
whatever. I'm serious. If I was Jake, I'd be like, look, I want to play every day. I know my back can play. I just need some regular reps. Let me see if I can play third base. And I just want a chance. Let me work with somebody, a little third base camp here for a couple of weeks, and let me see if I can figure this out. If everybody else is going, and that's an issue. Because right now, Brock Wilken at AAA stinks out loud. So he's not coming anytime soon. Andrew Fisher is not hitting well enough to even get to AA at this point at single A with the Timber Rattlers. So he ain't going anywhere. There is no help on the way unless Cooper Pratt starts to hit. We'll see. Or Jet Williams starts to hit. Williams had a couple hits the other night. If those guys start to hit, then maybe one of those two guys come up, and it's Cooper Pratt at shortstop and Ortiz slides to third, or Jet Williams comes up at 5'7", and they put him at third base and give him a shot there. I mean, that's where he's playing down there. I think that's the hope of the Brewers, is that Jet Williams is your third baseman at some point this season once he gets that bat going. I think that's obviously what they're going to wait for. Now, does that mean Jet Williams gets here in June? Probably. I don't think Jet Williams gets here before that.
I don't think so either. Again, he just has to start hitting more consistently. And like we said, the other night, he had a good game. But that was his first really true good game of the season. Now he's still batting .217. That's not, I guess, atrocious. You're above the Mendoza line. That's always positive. This is Jet Williams.
Dude, come at me with .217.
That's above the Mendoza line at the beginning of the season. That's fine. You can work with that.
You're promoting a .217 hitter.
You know what's more?
If you're the White Sox, sure, because you stink.
You know what's more concerning? His .597 OPS.
Yes.
That's what's more concerning than a batting average every single time.
I mean, first of all, on-base percentage is everything for him because you got to use his speed.
He doesn't have a great on-base percentage. He's got 347 on base right now.
Well, that's not horrible.
It's not horrible.
347 is not horrible. The issue is going to always be with this cat. Can he slug?
His minor league career is 386 on base. So he's down 40 points.
That's really good. But again, slugging for him is going to be a thing. Now, based on everything I've read, I emphasize read. I did not follow this kid's minor league career of the Mets. What I've read, he should hit like 15 homers a year in Milwaukee. I mean, he swings with everything he's got, and it appears he's got more power than Frelick. So if he's 15 homers a year, that's a nice utility outfielder because he's not going to be at third base forever. I mean, that'll be a nice utility outfielder that you can have, or potential outfielder. If Frelick leaves, maybe Joe Williams becomes Sal Frelick at some point if they were to move on from Sal Frelick. But for the time being, for this year, that's probably your closest answer to third base. I got a bunch of text messages coming in here on the Nicolay Law Talking text line asking you, of the guys that are out right now, Churiel, Vaughn, Yelich, Priester, Koenig, who do you miss the most right now? 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. 414 says Vaughn at first. All right, very good. 262, Scotty Tiffany says Ty. Churiel for his attitude and King Vaughn for what he can bring back to the team. I'm down with the attitude thing with Churiel. Agreed. I just think Vaughn's stick right now. It's a gigantic difference. I mean, if you have Vaughn in the middle of that lineup, it changes everything if that dude is hitting. From the, let's see, where is this? 906, agree. I'm scared when and if the Crew ever lose Chris Hook, they should pay him like a manager. I would assume, and maybe wrongfully, that Chris Hook is one of the highest paid pitching coaches in baseball. I would hope Mark Antanasio thinks that Chris Hook should be paid like one of the highest paid pitching coaches in baseball. I think I could argue he should be the highest paid pitching coach in Major League Baseball. From the 414 says, thank you, capital letters, Sparky. Preach on about Jake Bauer. He's a 200 hitter who strikes out too much. Tommy is spreading the hopium. That's a false narrative. And from the 414, LMAO, Sparky, this isn't Little League. You don't play left-handers at third base. From the 414, based on that, Rengifo should have been playing third base. He wouldn't be on any type of championship roster. He ain't starting at third. I promise you he ain't. David Hamilton ain't starting at third either on a championship caliber team.
One of the best third basemen in baseball, Rafael Devers, is a left-handed batter. You can change to a right-hand glove.
I don't care if he throws with his foot at this point. All I care about is, are you average defensively and can you hit? This whole, well, you have to be left-handed to play third or first base. You have to be right-handed to play third. All that crap, I don't care about. Do not care. Because if we cared about finding the perfect baseball players. I don't got a bunch of 5'7" and 5'8" guys running around on a baseball field for me in Milwaukee right now. I don't. I'm trying to get 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" guys that hit home runs. That's how you do it. And this team isn't doing it like everybody else. This team is doing it their own way. And go look. 414, he's playing third base at Nashville. That's where he's playing. So tell Pat Murphy it's not Little League. Tell Matt Arnold it's not Little League. That's where they're playing him because they don't got a lot of hope. Brock Wilken is down there. He's trying to play third base, and I'm emphasizing trying because he can't hit to save anything at this point. Boy, I didn't want to rant about that, but I mean, that's kind of where we are at this point. 262, Jared Koenig. We need to shore up the bullpen again, and he's an innings eater. He is. That was Charlie's guy, Jared Koenig. And again, all these guys are valuable.
We need them all. They need them all.
Right, just to be clear, they're all valuable. Like, I'm not downplaying any of them from being not valuable. Tony and Mequon, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk text line in Wisconsin Sports Daily with me, Steve Sparky Pfeiffer. What's up, Tony?
Hey, Sparky, how you doing?
Good.
I know you're kind of dismissing the whole thing about Jake Bauers being a left-handed thrower and playing third base, but I mean, it's just not feasible. I mean, no mechanics of baseball, you just can't do it. I understand. Like, look, I would love to have Jake Bauers bat in the lineup every day, but it's just I don't think you'll ever find a regular left-handed throwing third baseman. You just can't do it with the mechanics of baseball. You have to pivot every time. You have to throw everything. Be backhand. I just don't think you can do it. As far as who I'm missing the most, I can't disagree with you. Andrew Vaughn's a big bat. You need that. We need a big right-handed bat in the middle of this lineup right now. Jack Churiel as well. So I think the key for Churiel going this year is he needs to focus on not swinging at the first pitch every at bat because the league knows him now and they never throw him a strike on that first pitch. If he can get that down, that'd be a focal point for him. I think that'll change his numbers big time this coming season.
Awesome. Good deal. Good call indeed. Thanks for the call, Tony. So while Tony was talking, I went and I Googled third base, left-handed, all of that stuff. And the only thing I could find was Don Mattingly was the last lefty to play third base in 1986 and the last lefty to play second base in 1983. Let's see here. What else can it say? No lefty has played the field as a shortstop. Multiple lefties have played shortstop, but they pinch hit as the shortstop and never actually took the field. This includes Hall of Famer Luke Gehrig. That's pretty good. I didn't know that. Left-hander catcher is very rare for multiple reasons as well. Let's see here. What else do we got? Yeah, so that's some of the stuff. But yeah, very, very rare nonetheless is the point. And Mattingly's a Hall of Famer. I mean, so you're talking about a rare athlete that can obviously pull that off one way or the other.
And maybe just hand Jake Bauers.
You know what? I'll tell you what. Here, I got you.
Hand Jake Bauers a right-handed glove and see what happens.
No.
Left-handed glove, see what happens.
I got you. Look this up. I'm pretty sure Andrew Vaughn played third base for the White Sox for like 2 games or 3 games or something like that. So maybe that's the angle. Maybe you take Jake Bauers, you put him at first base, and maybe you try Andrew Vaughn at third base again. Did Andrew Vaughn play third base in his career? I'm almost positive.
I'm still looking.
I'm going to look it up too. I think he did. Andrew Vaughn play?
Yes. 2021, 2 games at third base for the White
Sox. They tried him at third.
1 game started there.
Correct. They tried him at third base. Maybe it was horrible for 2 games and they gave up.
He had 1,000 fielding percentage.
No errors.
Nothing.
Okay. So
-1 defensive run saves. But that's okay.
maybe you try that at this point then. So maybe Vaughn goes to third base and Jake Bauers stays at first base and you'd be done with the Hamilton and Rengifo experiment and just deal with it and go, hey, maybe we won't be great defensively at third, but now we've got the sticks in the lineup to do what we want. And you've got a guy that covers a ton of ground in Joey Ortiz at shortstop. So he can range both ways to help out Vaughn if Vaughn doesn't have the best range in the whole lineup.
And Bryce can help out Jake on the other side.
Correct.
You make it work. I'm still not convinced.
Again, if you're going to do this, you should have done this in spring training. If you were seriously thinking about it, you should have done it in spring training at that point, is all I'm saying. You should have done it at that point. Larry Antosa says, I really missed on Suarez.
Don't get him going, Larry. Don't get him going, dude.
I didn't bring it up. You see it. I did not bring it up. That was not I who brought it up. Down with Chill, Scott Sports Weekly comes up here in about 15 minutes or so. Coming back on the other side, Warren Sharp, one of the best analytic guys out there when it comes to analyzing stuff in football. He was the one that we had on last year on this show talking about Dobbs and Wicks, not Dobbs and Wicks, Wicks and was it Reed? Yeah, Wicks and Reed being the two worst receivers in football the previous year with all of his data analytics. Has an in-depth piece on the Packers that he put out yesterday. And maybe there's a position group that we should be talking about more based on his numbers with the Green Bay Packers. We'll talk about that more. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And speaking of Potawatomi, step up to the plate and take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. April through June, you can win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawings on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games and score one of the 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online, must be 21 and a rewards member to play, only at Potawatomi. And, of course, that website, Potawatomi.com. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen, producing today's show. Down with Chillis, College Sports Weekly. We'll join with him coming up in the next segment. Badgers have a transfer portal coming in for basketball. Marquette has one coming in from basketball. Milwaukee Panthers have a kid from Beloit coming in. Lots to talk about with Down with Chillis, so stay tuned for that. So I said before the break, we're going to talk about Warren Sharp, who does Sharp Football, great analyst on analytics and numbers and so forth. I saw this tweet last night, and it triggered me, and then we started looking more in-depth at different stuff, Charlie and I, in the pre-show meeting, and got to the topic where we're at now. Jordan Love was pressured on 40% of dropbacks last year for the Packers. Despite that, he's still ranked number 2 in the league in EPA per dropback at plus 0.22. Quarterback to record over a 0.2 EPA per attempt, despite a 40% pressure drop back in a season the last 10 years. Only Jordan Love can say that he has done that. So Charlie and I were like, okay, well, obviously the offensive line is not that good. It's a good stat on Jordan Love, but obviously the offensive line isn't that good. So then we went in and really got in depth into reading Warren Sharp's piece on the Packers offensive line. Now, first of all, only 2 teams played less percentage of the time than the Packers did with what was supposed to be their starting offensive line. So that's the first thing I think that stands out. They were only on the field together 17.6% of the offensive snaps last year. The only lineman to play in all 17 games, Rasheed Walker, who they let walk. With Zach Tom on the field this season, Love was pressured on 37.3% of his dropbacks compared to a 44% pressure rate with Zach Tom off the field. With Tom on the field, Love had a 1% interception rate, 3.2 sack rate. With Tom off the field, 2.1 interception rate, 7.2% sack rate. On 140 attempts with Tom on the field, Jacobs averaged 4.2 yards per carry with a run of 10 or more yards on 11.5% of those attempts. With Zach Tom off the field, he averaged 3.6 yards and had 10 or more yards on 7% of those runs. Significant. Jordan Morgan largely held up in pass protection, allowing a 5.3 pressure rate, but struggled as a run blocker. How about this for Sean Ryan? Ryan allowed a 5.7% pressure rate, which ranked 41st out of 45 centers to play last year in the NFL that played 100 or more snaps last season.
That's a little rough.
That's horrible.
That's a little rough. Well, it was kind of like what I was talking about with Rasheed Walker for a little while there. Just because that person is doing better than I think what you expected them to, it kind of gets you to give them a break. But then when you hear stuff like that going into one more season, having that player on the offensive line then now scares you a little bit because you know what he can be now, and you know it's not the best. It was good to be a replacement, but not the best.
How about guards? Guards, Sparky. How about our guards? Anthony Belton played 463 snaps at right guard. Man, I didn't feel like he played that much, but I guess he did. Allowing a team-high 9.5% pressure rate, Charlie, which ranks 93rd out of 96 guards to play 100-plus snaps. 93rd out of 96. You all want to kill Jordan Love. Kill Jordan Love about, oh, he's not good enough. Oh, we can't win a big game with him. Can we talk about this sorry offensive line that was in front of him for most of the year?
Let's see what he could do with a group that can actually block in front of him. Can he be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league? Again, I guess to some degree why some people are critical of Jordan Love. I wouldn't say that he deserves any hate. He deserves any kind of backlash, but at the same time, I get why people want him to take that next step and felt like last season wasn't exactly that next step they were hoping for. At the same time, when the talent around you in the offensive line at wide receiver for part of the season just didn't feel like it was up to what it should have been, up to that par that we've set for this Packers team, that becomes really frustrating, and it no longer falls on Jordan Love's shoulder. It's on everybody else in that group.
Absolutely it is. Everybody takes responsibility. What about Aaron Banks? Well, Aaron Banks was 61st among guards in total grade per Pro Football Focus last year. Well, there's 64 that start. He was 61.
Well, and they probably had closer to like 75 that they actually tracked in starting roles just because guys get hurt throughout the season.
Well, I mean, if you look at, well, okay, so you're just saying for Pro
Yeah,
Football Focus?
yeah, Pro Football.
Okay,
That's what
fine.
they do. They add in guys that like meet the snap
Right.
requirements still too at that position. So it's
That's
probably closer to like
horrible.
70 to 75. It's still not good.
No, it's absolutely horrible. So we want to know, should offensive line be more of a priority for the Packers in this upcoming draft next Friday than people say? Don't forget, we'll have our Green Bay Football Draft Show on the air next Friday, starting at 6 o'clock with Charlie Usen and myself. And we'll take you right up to the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with myself and Tim Allen next Friday night. So looking forward to talking about that. And John Kuhn making the selections for the Packers in rounds 2 and rounds 3 back home in Pittsburgh.
It worked out perfectly. We didn't even know that until yesterday.
No,
it was
it's
just like,
awesome.
oh, that works. Cool.
It's absolutely awesome. So looking forward to seeing John Kuhn. Maybe we can get him on the show while he's down there at the draft in between selections or whatever the case may be. Hopefully his picks have a good track record, and then we'll want him to go back and pick some more if they end up being good selections. Should offensive line be more of a priority for the Packers in the draft than people say? 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. What say you?
Yes, I do think it should. And I think this Packers team, along with adding at least one defensive tackle, should add 2 interior offensive linemen at some point in this draft. I think there's other trades they can still make that they will make, especially in maybe day 3 rounds, where you could grab an extra guy in that group. You need some extra depth. And this offseason, you did not go out and get any extra depth. It basically looks like the same exact room. You need to be better.
I would rather draft defensive tackle, edge rusher, wide receiver, and cornerback in rounds 2 and 3.
Defensive tackle and cornerback would be the only ones that I'd put on. Edge rusher and wide receiver. Don't make that list for me.
Okay, that's fine. But for me, rounds 2 and 3, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. If you want to draft offensive lineman on day 3, by all means, draft offensive lineman on day 3. But because you don't have a first round pick, these first 2 picks on day 2 are everything. These are guys that should come in and play starters. You need a starter at corner. You maybe you don't need a starter at defensive tackle because you have Hargrave and Devontae Wyatt. But depending on what you're going to do with Devontae Wyatt, we all thought they were going to take care of this kid and take care of him. They still haven't given him a contract extension. They got the 5th-year option, but they haven't given him the contract extension. So you don't know how long of a future he has. There are no big bodies behind these two. So they need a defensive tackle for sure at this point. And I'm sorry, but I still think they want to upgrade that wide receiver room. And I'm not moving off of that. And you lost Ngabare across from Micah Parsons. You don't have that guy yet. Now, Micah Parsons has been working out with a couple of young guys all offseason, so maybe one of those guys will end up turning out and being a player. We'll have to wait and see. Coming up next, Don Wojczulis, College Sports Weekly. We have a new basketball player coming to Wisconsin, the transfer portal. We have a new basketball player coming to Marquette in the transfer portal. And a kid from Beloit is headed to Milwaukee to play for the Panthers, and Bart Lundy. We'll pick Don Wojczulis' brain about all of them. Up next, Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Oh, the Tommy Wirtz theme song.
And his brother requested this one too.
Yeah, Tommy Wirtz theme song. We should play that every time we have Tommy Wirtz on our show, right?
I think so.
That should be his song, "Humble." That should be the Tommy Wirtz theme song when he comes on. I think that we got to do that for sure. Joining us now, you can see him on X and on YouTube as we live stream it right there at WI Sports Radio on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Down with Chillis, College Sports Weekly. Him and Dan Underberg do that beautiful show on Saturday mornings from 9 to 11. Tommy Wirtz was just in the studio and said, ask Don if he uses a machete to shave his head bald. So I ask you, what do you to shave your head bald?
That seems a little extreme on Tommy's part, but no, the razor will do. Yeah, no machete. The razor will do.
You could have went with machete. You would have earned you some cool points for everybody listening. Like, damn, that dude. Well, that's what Tom with Chillis. That dude's using a machete. Shave his head. Hell no, I'm not messing with him. All right, let's talk a little bit about everything going on. Before we get to, they got a new basketball player coming to Wisconsin, got a new one coming to Marquette. That was really big news there. And then Milwaukee, Bart Lundy landed a kid from Beloit. So we'll get into all that. I got to know this whole thing with Chris McIntosh. Oh, I need money. Governor Evers. All right, here's your money. Thanks, dude. I'm out. See you later. I got to go. What? And then Barry Alvarez, he comes out this week and was like, whatever. You want to go? I'm not really all that disappointed. He doesn't want to be here. See ya. I mean, it feels like, you listen to Barry, doesn't feel like those two were in lockstep anymore, like they probably were when this thing started. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, in my opinion, McIntosh just got out before the posse caught up to him. That's what it appears to me, Don with Chillis, but you tell me.
Steve, I think the idea with Alvarez, I think Barry feels a little betrayed. I mean, he had really kind of groomed McIntosh into that position. I think the problem, however, was he was grooming him for that position prior to NIL and the transfer portal, which has completely changed what the athletic director position is. And so McIntosh has had to learn on the fly, and it hasn't necessarily gone as successful, I think, as many of us would have liked. Now, when it comes to him leaving, I think everything you said I would tend to agree with, but I would also throw into the mix that I think McIntosh is looking at next year's football team, and I think has question marks as to whether Luke Fickell is the guy who can turn this thing around. And I think if Luke Fickell doesn't get to a bowl game next year, then Luke Fickell is going to be shown the door regardless of what the buyout is at that point. And I think if Luke Fickell is going to get shown the door, so was Chris McIntosh. And the fact that the Big Ten came, whether they created it for him or prior to him taking that job, I just think he found himself a great time to exit stage left and not get himself put into a situation where next year people are talking about he and Fickell, whether or not their jobs are safe, and what does it mean for Wisconsin moving forward.
Fickell is definitely in a pressure cooker now, no question. I saw Tom Fernelli, who is Mr. Chicago on CBS Sports, writing a piece about bold predictions for each team in the Big Ten for football. His bold prediction was the Badgers were going to miss another bowl game, and Luke Fickell was going to be out. And Charlie's like, that's not a bold prediction. But to me, I said it last year. I think they are a bowl team this year. Now, I don't know if they win 10 games necessarily, but I think they're definitely going to win at least 6 games with this schedule and be in some type of bowl at the end of the year.
And I think that's the benchmark that is set right now for this team. Yeah, 10 games is a little pie in the sky, an opportunity to play for the national championship. Forget about that. It's more or less about, can this team finish 500 or above and find themselves in, I don't even know if we can call them a respectable bowl game anymore, but just to get back into some form of postseason play, I think will buy Luke Fickell some time to see if this thing can turn around now with the fact that they've dumped more money into the NIL. They've been more successful in the transfer portal. A lot of the national publications that follow the transfer portal really put them in the top 25 to top 30. Now let's see if that transpires to what needs to happen on the field.
Got a couple minutes left, so quickly here. Trey Autry coming from George Washington to play for the Badgers. I saw some videos, highlights of him being pretty clutch at George Washington. What do we know about Trey Autry?
He's the son of a coach, shot about 43% from the field, 38% from beyond the arc. And I think here's a guy that absolutely Greg Gard needed to help fill out that roster with still a week left. And I trust Greg Gard because over the last couple of years, what he's been able to do in finding players that fit the Wisconsin system in a time and day when you don't have a chance to really develop the way you used to. You'd bring in a kid as a freshman, you develop them so that by the time they're juniors and seniors, it's plug and play. Now you got to find these plug and play guys in the transfer portal. Gard has done well with it. I like the addition.
Don Wojczulis, can you hang out for another segment? Can you do another segment? All right, good. We're going to do another segment because I got way too much still to talk about. We haven't got to Marquette. We haven't got to Milwaukee at this point either. So Don Wojczulis is going to hang out with us. We'll get back to Don Wojczulis after the top of the hour, and then we'll move. Let's talk about the crew. We'll move that back to 3:20, Charlie, and then we'll still get the Charlie sounds of the day, plus still to come as well. Plead the fifth, and I already see somebody nominated me in the last segment.
Yes, they did.
What the heck?
You and Pat Murphy, actually. So a wild one.
Well, I guess. I mean, I'll deal with it. It's fine. But you can nominate whoever you want for Plead the Fifth. All you got to do is text in your submissions to 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habits from Rotier. We do it every Friday at 4:20. And you can nominate whoever you want. It could be somebody on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, somebody in sports, could be a friend, could be a family member, could be a coworker, whoever it may be. You feel free to nominate them, or you can just call in that 4:20 segment and do it on the radio. That way will work as well. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen over there. More with Don Wojczulis of College Sports Weekly. Hear him and Dan Underberg tomorrow morning from 9 to 11 a.m. every Saturday here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Sanu Sonata Fruit.
Time for your fan weather forecast right now. 3 o'clock and fine so far, 79 degrees outside. However, thunderstorms in the vicinity and heading our way around 5 or 6.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen, other side of the glass. Hope y'all are doing well. The smiling one, Don Wojczulis of College Sports Weekly, joins us once again on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. We talked some about the Badgers and Chris McIntosh being out, but also the president of universities got fired. The chancellor left. I mean, there's a lot going on over there, Don, that we really didn't get into outside of McIntosh.
You know, and that to me right now is the bigger picture, because if you think back late 80s, early 90s, when you had Donna Shalala, Pat Richter,
without Donna Shalala, Barry Alvarez never becomes Barry Alvarez. I'll go to my death on that one.
But from an administrative standpoint, everything was linear. Everything was top down. They were all in lockstep.
Right.
And I think with Mnuchin being as the chancellor at Wisconsin in the midst of her tenure, you know, she's about academics. She's an academia person, and that's why she's headed to Columbia, because I think that will be a better fit as far as where her skill set is. And so now again, with the president being fired, the chancellor leaving, the AD being gone, the Board of Regents really has an opportunity to set this thing up for quite some time to be successful, but it's got to start up there, because I think even though we can talk about the do's and the don'ts and the hits and the misses of a Chris McIntosh, I think there were also those above him that were struggling to figure out how to work athletics into what they perceive to be the university model. And I think that set back the Wisconsin Badger athletic program for a little bit, because when you look at the Big Ten has dominated the national championship scene, even with our own Wisconsin Badgers on the women's side winning the hockey tournament, the men being runner-up, you know, just a heartbeat away from winning that championship as well. The Big Ten has figured it out. Wisconsin has just lagged behind in trying to figure out what the new landscape is of college sports. And now the Board of Regents, between the president, the chancellor, and the AD, have an opportunity to take this university, move them forward, and get back into the heyday of the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, and I think that obviously is something that everybody's got to get on board with. Like you said, everybody's got to push in the same direction. I don't see it. Do we have the Alabama general manager sound or no?
No. Not that
I want to bring something up to you. We were going to do this topic at 3:20, but since we have you on now, we're moving back. Let's talk about the crew to 3:20. So I want to bring something up to you. The general manager of Alabama football was on a podcast or something, and they put the video out of him talking. And he said that right now, if you want to contend and play at a high level and contend for a playoff spot, that your payroll essentially NIL-wise has to be around $40 million in order to play at that high level. Now, that is a number that I'm not quite sure Wisconsin can even get to at this point when we start talking about NIL money. But then that wasn't over. That wasn't the only thing that happened, because then that video got quote tweeted. And then it became people saying, well, we're hearing that there's people out there that are going to be at 60 million potentially coming up for the next college football season. That then got quote tweeted by another college football writer. I'm scrolling on my phone trying to find it. Talking about how he thinks eventually we're going to see $100 million payrolls in college football, which led us to potentially have a topic, which we're not going to do now, is do you think at some point they're going to have to salary cap the NIL?
The only way we can get to that, Sparky, is if we figure out a way to collectively bargain with all of these college athletes. And that's the only way we're going to find contracts that are legit, because let's face it, we see a lot of student athletes right now. Can we use the term student athlete? That are signing contracts that all of a sudden they'll enroll, and Clemson is the prime example of this. They enroll a week later, Ole Miss comes in with a bigger bag. They pack up their stuff and head to Ole Miss. So you've got these contracts that are in play that aren't really legally binding. And so for that to occur, we've got to figure out how we get to the CBA, how we get to collectively bargain with all of these college athletes. And right now, that's a nightmare. So to think of it going to $100 million sounds ridiculous right now, but let's go back to the very first transfer portal signing. When it was made public, it was for $400,000, and that was only a couple of years ago. And now we're watching guys making $4, $5, $6 million like it's nothing, and that's only within the last couple of years. So to see that thing escalate to $100 million, I wouldn't be surprised. I'll say it that way.
Yeah, it's just absolutely crazy. You start thinking about the amount of money that's being thrown out there. And furthermore, here we go. I have it now. So the Alabama general manager, Courtney Morgan, said probably more than $40 million to build a championship roster in the NIL era. Josh Pate, who obviously does a lot of stuff with college football on TV and podcasting, have heard a few $60 million estimates for 2026. Multiple GMs telling me the first $100 million roster is imminent with the current system. Dan Woken, another writer, says it sounds crazy perhaps, but the top athletic departments are at $200 million in revenue. In the NBA and NFL, roughly 50% of the revenue goes to the players. Do the math.
Yeah, I'm going to sit here and nod my head, which is really good for radio, except for the people on YouTube.
It's good for X and YouTube that can see it right there at WI Sports Radio, yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it just does not seem that far-fetched. And we keep wondering when the carpet is going to get pulled out, right? When is there going to be donor fatigue? When do we get to a point where the donors are going to say, listen, I just spent X number of millions to bring a Darren Peterson in at Kansas, and we did not get a national championship. Why am I writing another check? We ask that every year since the transfer portal and NIL has become what it is today, and it hasn't happened yet. So I don't know when that's going to come, where the ceiling is, when we finally get to a point where we just can't survive anymore.
Absolutely crazy. All right, let's get into some more of the transfer portal stuff as far as college basketball players and recruits coming to teams around us. Talking with Down with Chillis, College Sports Weekly. Hear him, Dan Underberg, Saturday mornings, 9 to 11, including tomorrow morning. They follow Garbedian on golf with Chuck Garbedian from 7 to 9 on Saturdays. Let's start off talking about two things. One player leaving. Sean Jones leaving Marquette, heading to play for the former Marquette assistant, Todd Kowalczyk, who's been the coach at Toledo now as of, I don't know, has been like a decade already, I want to say. Something along those lines.
Something along those.
Thoughts on Sean Jones leaving?
There would have been a time, Sparky, where I think we could have spent an entire hour. Like, what's happening at Marquette? Why did this take place? What's going on? Go back with Blackwell with Wisconsin. I mean, it would have been breaking news. We would have discussed it forever.
Blackwell's a payday. And Blackwell's a payday, and Blackwell is I'm sick of getting bounced early in the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, those two things both.
Well, you think about going back now to Blackwell to apologize for changing the subject, but, you bring in a Nick Boyd, a John Tonji. Blackwell kept waiting his turn to be the guy, and they kept replacing him, or not him, but replacing within the transfer portal guys who ended up taking that spot. So I understand why Blackwell did what he did. I think for Sean, it's a matter of playing time. It's a matter of exposure. I don't know if the bag, so to speak, is as big at Toledo as it is at Marquette, but I think it's an opportunity to get on the floor and have an opportunity maybe to have success within that conference as opposed to going through what they went through this year in the Big East.
Marquette loses Sean Jones, but they add a legitimate big, Sanenda Frew, I think that's how you say his name, a German kid from Louisville. I think he was the 7th rated player in the portal. So talk about him and how he impacts Marquette.
Well, I think he adds a veteran presence. It's funny to say that in college athletics, but
that's where we are.
He adds a veteran presence now in the middle. And then, you couple that with Nigel. I think now you've got what is necessary to kind of get the program moving in the right direction. I give Shaka a lot of credit. Shaka was old school. Shaka wanted to bring guys in, develop them. I think his mindset was more of, let's give this thing a year. Yes, it's going to be a hiccup. Yes, we're going to struggle. But then the next maybe 3 years, we're going to be back to Marquette. I'll say it that way. It doesn't work that way anymore. And I think the writing was on the wall that he had to go to the transfer portal. It's the first time in 4 years Marquette's gone to the transfer portal to grab somebody. And I think who they got is going to be a welcome addition, an impactful addition to this Marquette team. And for Frew, who left, Louisville on paper right now has got the #1 transfer portal class, I guess, if I'm making something up here as I go along, based on a lot of the national pundits as they look at it. Does that mean, again, I hate to pick on Darren Peterson, but I think about here was a freshman coming into Kansas that everybody was raving about, and it didn't necessarily mix. Louisville's spending a ton of money to bring some top talent in. We'll see if it works. It doesn't always work just because you bring a bunch of what I'll call all-stars onto your roster. And I think Frew saw the writing on the wall that his playing time was going to be even more diminished. So now I get to go to Marquette. I get to play for a coach that I would assume he has great respect for. I got to believe Shaka is a great recruiter when push comes to shove, and a chance to play in the Big East. I think it's a great move for him.
Let's talk about the Milwaukee Panthers, who we don't talk about probably enough one way or the other, but love me some Bart Lundy. Amari Hereford, the latest now to sign with Milwaukee, a kid from Beloit.
Yeah, and somebody who, again, in high school was averaging north of 35 a game from one of the articles that I read. I think what you got now, if all goes well, I mean, I felt bad for Bart last year. It was a mash unit. It was a mash unit every time you turned around. And it wasn't just, a stub toe, a sprained ankle. These were guys who were needing season-ending surgery that were going to be counted upon for major minutes, major contributions. So now with Amari coming in as a freshman, I think he's going to get significant playing time. And as long as he can make that adjustment to the college game, I think Bart Lundy landed himself a good one coming out of high school.
Is recruiting more important for the mid-majors than for the power conferences? Is it more important for Gottlieb and Lundy more so than, say, Marquette and Wisconsin, because they obviously don't have the funds to spend in the portal?
I think what ends up happening is for the Green Bays and the UWMs of the world is, yes, it's high school, and then it's guys who got recruited to go elsewhere. So, Sparky, you're getting recruited. And
like Sean Jones.
Right. And
Sean Jones goes to Marquette and then comes to Milwaukee or Green Bay like he's going to Toledo.
Right, exactly. Where he ends up coming home in many cases, like we look at the UWM roster, and get a chance to then play Division I basketball at home, because the recruiting process, I think, lured some away and then went, this isn't what I had anticipated. So it's a bit of both worlds when we talk about UWM and UW Green Bay, but yes, much more important as far as high school recruiting goes, because UWM and UW Green Bay, that's what gets picked out of when we talk about the Power 5 conferences. They're letting a Bart Lundy and a Doug Gottlieb develop these guys, and then by their junior and senior year, the Power 5s are stepping in and bringing them up to their ranks.
Don Wojczulis, I have one more question for you.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how you're going to answer it.
Okay.
So you answer just honestly and truthfully. Do you think Doug Gottlieb is good for the Horizon League?
Do I think Doug got? I'm going to say yes. I have no reason to say no. I have no reason to say that what he's done at Green Bay has somehow dampened the Horizon League in any form or fashion. The antics get a little every once in a while. However, he's proven that he can coach because they had one of the biggest turnarounds in all of college basketball from, we'll say now 2 years ago to this past season. So I don't think he's been a detriment to the league whatsoever. I do understand, he called out the commissioner, he called out some people. I happened to be in that press conference when the table was getting smashed and the microphones went flying. But to say that somehow that's diminished his presence within the Horizon League, I don't think so.
I think it brings people's eyes to the Horizon League one way or the other. I just do. And I think, like you said, he did prove to be a good coach or better coach that people gave him credit for from last year to this year. And again, doing it with little to no NIL money type deal and trying to make it all work, just like Bart is trying to do at Milwaukee. Both of those are tough jobs. And you would imagine for both of them, if they get an opportunity to go coach somewhere for a couple $1 million a year or whatever else, both will leave, obviously, to go coach somewhere else. And I think both schools are lucky to have both coaches there currently. Down with Chillis, what's coming up tomorrow morning? College Sports Weekly from 9 to 11 a.m. here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Well, we'll continue the discussion that you and I and Charlie were just having over the course of the 2 hours. Ben Steele's going to join us from the Journal Sentinel in Milwaukee to talk about Marquette and the transfer portal and what Ben, who's in and around that program 24/7, 365, feels as the program moves forward, what his thoughts are. And then we're hoping to also get a guest who has basically put together the entire women's volleyball tournament that's coming to Fiserv Forum in August. We will be the center of women's volleyball at the collegiate level in mid-August as we get some of the top programs that will be visiting our city, and we'll hopefully have an opportunity to discuss what that all entails on tomorrow's show.
There he is, Down with Chillis. Him and Dan Underberg do a great job. College Sports Weekly, Saturday mornings 9 to 11. Make sure to give them a listen. You will love them, and then listen every Saturday. Don, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Steve. Have a good day.
Take care. There he is, Down with Chillis. Off he goes with his machete to shave his head later tonight and get ready for the show tomorrow morning. Let's talk about the crew coming up next. I just love talking Brewers baseball. I don't know about everybody else, but I love talking about the Milwaukee Brewers. I'm looking forward to hosting that post-game show. Miami Sportsbook post-game show next Friday night. Tim Allen and I reunion after having done that show together for 10 or 12 years. Getting to do that show together again next Friday night, a week from tonight. Looking forward to doing that. Hey, Wendy's, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you a little story, okay? First, let me tell you about Wendy's Youth Sports Free Frosty offer. I want you to listen carefully. Charlie could probably do it for me, but here we go. Did you know that any youth sports player could score a free small classic Frosty anytime they visit Wendy's in their sports uniform? That's right. Just stop by after practice or with your team after a game. Who doesn't love a Frosty?
Who doesn't?
So what did I just read about Wendy's?
Wear your uniform. Kids wear your uniform. Get a free Frosty. Easy. Yeah.
Easy. Okay. I'm not going to out the fast food chain, and I'm not going to out what city I was in, but I was in a city. I was at a fast food chain, and they have a piece of paper on their drive-thru window. And it says, if you play Little League Baseball in this city, and if you show up in full uniform after your game, and they have the game schedule, they say, after your game, you have to have your hat on, your jersey on, everything's got to be on. You can get a free cone with a purchase of something else.
Yeah. All right.
And they'll deem it as a donation.
All right. I guess, what's wrong with that?
It's lame on 5 million different levels. It's like, first of all, if you're listening to me, why if there's a Wendy's in your town versus that,
Right.
I'm going to Wendy's.
Easy.
Like, if I don't got my hat on, they're not gonna be like, oh, sorry, no cone. And you got to buy something else. Like, come on, man. And then they're going to deem it as a donation. What does that mean? That would mean they get to write it off at the end of the year?
Oh, probably, yeah.
Right. Come on.
What's wrong with that?
Man. Get out of
You're
here.
still okay. The
That's
kid is
just
still getting the
absolutely
free
ridiculous.
cone.
I'm
Like,
guessing,
again, it's not as good as a deal as Wendy's, obviously.
Get out.
And also, like, I don't know. I can't imagine really any like true fast food worker is going to be that critical about a kid not wearing the perfect uniform.
It is. I took a picture of it. It is literally what the person.
Yeah,
has
but
to
if
be
it
wearing.
was me and like I'm working there and my manager's not around, I don't care, man. I feel like you could get away with it.
I see. Hire Charlie today and come give away stuff at your place of employment. But that's the thing, though, right? Like, to me, I read it, I laughed. I was like, come on. And then I was like, you know what? There's like probably a manager, somebody that works here whose kid plays on the Little League, and they cut a deal with Little League. So for the Little League, that's cool. But I'm just saying, like, you can go to Wendy's in that same town and get a free Frosty and not have to buy anything. They're not going to grill you on your Little League schedule. They're not going to grill you if you don't have a hat on or whatever. Like, just go to Wendy's in that town to get a free Frosty. Yes.
I wouldn't be as mad as you are, though.
Oh, just ridiculous. Because I love Wendy's. I'm like, what are we doing? What is this? Nonsense. Coming up next, let's talk about the crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. JB the 920. $6 biggie bag for the win. Yeah. There you go, JB in the 920. Yeah.
That might be my dinner tonight.
There you go.
Once I have work tonight and head over to Wendy. There's a Wendy's right next to it.
Is there?
I might get a biggie bag. Yeah.
There you go. That is how you go.
I don't have a uniform to wear to get a free Frosty, but
no, and you're
well, I could. My parents might still have some of my old baseball uniforms. I think I could make it work.
You think you would fit into one of your youth?
No shot.
No shot. Okay,
no shot.
I was gonna say, come on, man. I'll think of a kid.
The rules don't say it has to fit.
Oh, it doesn't have to fit. Oh my gosh. Come in wearing like a half a shirt, dude. Just leave. Here's your Frosty. Get out.
Exactly.
I don't want to look at that. Just get out of here already. Oh, that is very, very funny. Let's have our 5 folks over there at Potawatomi before we talk more about the Crew. Coleman Crow education coming up here momentarily. Step up to the plate to take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. April through June, you can win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawing on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games and score one of 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play. Only at Potawatomi. Check them out today again at Potawatomi.com.
It's time to talk about the Crew. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, time to talk about the Crew. Charlie's got a topic all ready to go. But before we get to that, Jacob in Tosa in the last break says, Sparky, I don't have time to do the research. Who is Coleman Crow, and how much should I bet on the Marlins tonight at Potto? Well, I will tell you that we're going to follow the money with Austin Herdenia, as we do every Friday at about 4:40, 4:45, and he can answer that question. I am not necessarily a gambler of that sort. However, Tommy Wirtz was listening and came walking in with notes on Coleman Crow. He becomes the 9th different starting pitcher used by the Brewers this season, tying the Astros for the most in the majors. And Houston is scheduled to have its 10th starter going tonight. So both pitching staffs are beat up and hurt at this point. Crow is 25, 2-0 with a 4.02 ERA in 3 games and 2 starts at AAA Nashville this season. Crow was acquired from the Mets, obviously, in exchange for Adrian Hauser and Tyrone Taylor back in December of 23. Last season, Crow was 4-1 with a 3.24 ERA in 12 starts between AA and AAA. He was the Brewers minor league pitcher of the month in June last year when he was 3-0 with a 1.06 ERA. In that time frame, which was pretty good. 24 strikeouts to 1 walk last June in that time.
That's pretty solid. I'll take that almost any day. And then put him into this rotation, give him Chris Hook. I mean, I'm pretty excited for this kid today, man.
His last outing down at AAA, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned a walk, 7 strikeouts. And he gave up a home run in that one, a win 5-3, and his second win of the year. Down in Nashville, whose offense stinks. So that gives you an idea of that. But we'll see. I mean, if he stinks, he stinks. I'll say this much. You better give him Contreras. That's all I'm going to say. Like Pat Murphy yesterday says, well, we gave him Contreras this time. And, well, look, it's so much better. Well, of course it is.
No duh.
Of course it is. That's the one thing to me. Like, God bless Gary Sanchez and his power, and he's hitting way better than anybody thought he was going to hit, and he wants to be here and wanted to come back to Milwaukee, so I'm not going to sit here and bash Gary Sanchez. But there is a clear-as-day difference when he is catching versus when Contreras is catching, how guys are working against batters. They just – and I didn't look up catcher ERA so far this year, Sanchez versus Contreras, but I would have to imagine Contreras – has to be probably better than Gary Sanchez, maybe, possibly,
so.
Potentially. But obviously, Sproat benefited yesterday by having Contreras catching him. And so if Coleman Crow is indeed going to be the starter tonight, like they're saying, I would hope that William Contreras is the guy that's in that lineup tonight, catching Coleman Crow, and is going to be that guy. We'll have the leadoff show coming up at 5 o'clock with Tommy Wirtz. Get you ready for the baseball game coming up tonight. And then obviously after the last pitch, you make the switch to the franchise. Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz for the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show. What do you got, Charlie?
Let's see. I'm looking for William Contreras' catcher ERA. While I do that, I'm going to bring up this topic that we wanted to talk about here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. For Let's Talk About the Crew. So far this season, we talked about Gary Sanchez just a little bit ago. We talked about Jake Bowers earlier in the show today. Those two guys are leading the team with home runs with 5 each. It's been a lot of fun watching those two guys. Outside of them, it has not been fun to watch anybody hit for power on this team at all because nobody else can hit for power, frankly. William Contreras hits really hard. He hits balls like 90 miles per hour usually. Too bad they always end up being singles, doubles, triples. Like, I need somebody else to hit for power on this team. So my question is the lack of power to start this season for the Milwaukee Brewers already a bigger concern than it ever was last season? And last season, it was a pretty big concern by the end of the year.
It was, and we talked about that going into the postseason. Right now, the Brewers 16th in Major League Baseball with 18 home runs. Number one, the Los Angeles Dodgers with 33 home runs. Number two, the Angels with 32, and then a drop off to 26 with the Twins. If you go to doubles, if we're talking about just power, if we're not talking about just home runs, the Brewers are 19th in the league in doubles with 26. That's a number where I think they should be probably top 5, top 10 with what they have so far
every single year, especially when you have so many guys who are so quick and you use them on the base paths. When they get to first base, they get to second base almost every single time, unless you're Greg Jones getting picked off at first base yesterday, which I know Murphy was not very happy about. But at the same time, it's fun to watch this Brewers team be able to do what they do on the base paths. But at the same time, sometimes when you get into games like we've seen over the past 6 or 7 games that we've watched from this Milwaukee Brewers team, where the score just is super low and you're winning by getting these bunts and getting these stolen bases. I think last year throughout the regular season, we talked about how you can win the regular season games that way. You can't win playoff games that way. And it showed in the playoffs that when they were playing the Cubs, they were able to get a little bit more boost in the power of the extra base hit department. It helped them there. And then when they played the Dodgers, you weren't able to do that. And going into this season, because you have that sample size from last year where you already have that failure at that spot, why go in with the same mindset this year?
No, I agree with you on that. The Brewers ranked 20th in baseball, the 380 slugging percentage right now. Number 1 in baseball. I don't know why we're playing this season. I'll be honest. I mean, unless the Dodgers get absolutely annihilated with injuries, I don't see how anybody's beating them. The Giants or the Dodgers slugging percentage, the Brewers are 380, 20th in baseball. The Dodgers are 491 slugging percentage.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
491. The next one after that is the Braves at 449. OPS, so that's on base plus slugging, 854 for the Dodgers. The next one is the Braves at 790. Not even close. The Brewers, because their OPS is pretty good, are at 11th in baseball at 719. But back to your point, power. Well, Churio's got some power. Yelich has some power. Vaughn has some power. And they're all sitting over there on the sidelines waiting to get back into the lineup. So in fairness to Matt Arnold and the Brewers, they can very well argue, well, man, 3 of our guys that can hit 20 or 30 home runs are all sitting over there, and we don't have the power to replace them with. And as far as the minor league system goes, and the guys that are coming from that aspect, Fisher's going to be a power hitter, right? Madey's going to be 20, 25, probably
He's
somewhere in
barely
that area.
making contact with balls. Like that second home run that we played earlier in the week, he got underneath that. That probably should not have left the yard, and it left the yard. He's going to be a stud, man.
An absolute freaking stud. There's no question about that. All right, take a quick time out. Come back on the other side. I want to hear Charlie's sounds of the day. Tommy Wirtz ran and got numbers on this catcher's ERA that he found.
He already had it.
Contreras, 127 innings. Gary Sanchez has only 27 innings at catcher, so a little bit unfair. But Contreras, 127 innings, 52 earned runs, a 3.69 ERA at this point. Gary Sanchez, 27 innings, 12 earned runs, an ERA of 4 flat behind the plate. So
neither of those are too bad.
No, neither of those are too bad.
Contreras is good, and Gary Sanchez isn't too bad.
And again, Contreras 100 more innings. In fairness to Gary Sanchez, I don't want to be unfair to him. Coming up next, Charlie Sounds of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And I know one of the sounds is Doc talking about Giannis and the Bucks again. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky, Fiver, Charlie Usen here on a Friday. Severe weather moving in across the state of Wisconsin. Be careful, be careful, be careful in your travels. And if you are hanging out at home, make sure you have your weather alerts on and all that fun stuff. Definitely do not want to take this lightly. Still to come, Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. That comes up at 4:20. Speaking of my guys, Habish, and Rotier, national reputation, hometown service. They've been helping injured Wisconsinites for nearly 100 years. That's right, dating all the way back to 1930. And how about this? National reputation. That means they win a lot of cases. They got record-breaking wins, obviously, in the state of Wisconsin. The hometown service part is what we always talk about. That's the part that we care about most. 13 different locations around the state of Wisconsin. So regardless if you're listening to the game in Wausau or WNFL in Green Bay and Appleton area, they got you. They're right there by you, right where you need them. They're all over the place. They're in Madison, Lake Geneva, Kenosha, Milwaukee. Wherever you want them to be, they're there. Now, the cool thing about this is they're going to listen to you. Right? They're going to let you tell what all happened and so forth, and they're going to help you navigate through all the other stuff that's going on in your life after you're involved in a car accident that potentially has a lot of trauma to it. So check them out today. Again, this is where you should be going. Habish.com. Habish and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, Sounds of the Day. Where are we going first, Charlie?
All right, first up, you mentioned it before. Doc Rivers was on the Bill Simmons show, where he was discussing the whole Giannis situation now that he is officially out of the Milwaukee Bucks and the situation itself.
Then the whole Giannis stuff, it was just not a lot of fun. It just wasn't, because I think a lot of people at the end of the day were talking for him.
Right.
I don't know if they necessarily were doing that in what he was actually saying. And it made things murky, and it made things very, very difficult. And then to end the season with this whole thing was rough. It was just tough.
You're talking about the Shams piece, or
no? The Shams piece, I just try to ignore it, because it's the point that I was making. Like, yeah, we had a tough meeting after a game that we blew. Like, again, if you go into any locker room, why is that news?
Yeah.
But it's more like the whole Giannis, did he play, not play? It was tough. Like, and I saw it, like, as a coach, I could literally see it from both sides of it. The Bucks front office has done an amazing job overall, like, to win a title and to get there. They're good people. And then you have Giannis, who I'm telling you is a good person.
Yeah.
And they're both, over all the stuff. And I don't think Giannis knows if he wants to stay or not. And I don't know if the organization knows one way or not either. And it's too bad, because I just hope that part is figured out. When you win a title with someone, there's like a blood transfusion, and that transfusion shouldn't be broken. And that part is the one that I wanted to figure out.
I'm sorry, but how in the world do they each not know what is going on? Like, I don't really understand. Like, you either want them or you don't, from an ownership standpoint, and either you want to play for them or you don't. And I understand Giannis. I get it, right? You got to win, or I don't want to be here. Fair enough. So if you want to be here, then I need your word that you're going to sign this extension, and then we'll go full forces ahead if you plan on staying. But you also can't put the Bucks in a situation, which he is doing consistently, which is, I don't know. Let's see what you do. I'll get back to you. And then if you don't like what they did, you screw them and a bunch of old cats, more than likely, of trying to win now and doing dumb deals like Miles Turner. So then eventually have you say, yeah, you know what? I don't want to be here. I don't. Good try. Good effort. You committed all this money long-term and screwed yourself in the organization. But I decided I don't want to be here. So I'm not going to sign. But good luck to you. I hope it all works out. I mean, you can't do that either. If you're the ownership, you can't play this game with him. So both sides have got to figure this out. But If you're asking me which side needs to figure it out quicker, it's got to be Giannis. Like you're in or you're out. And if you can't figure if you're in or you're out, then the Bucks got to make the hard decision of whether or not they're going to move on with him or not. And again, both are in a tough situation.
Well, and if we're talking about them and saying that neither one of them knows what's going on, that means there's no communication between the two sides, which I get. Giannis came out and said, oh, well, we need marriage counseling. You know, me and the Bucks relationship is not working right now. At the same time, you're an employee of the Bucks at the moment. The Bucks, you are his employer. Talk with each other. Figure out where you're at least. The fact that you're not talking to each other and you're having all these different people go and just talk to Eric Name instead, which is cool. We get to talk to Eric Name, then he gets to have all these awesome quotes for us. But at the same time, talk to each other too. Have these conversations. John Orr, sit down with Giannis and really figure out what the hell's going on. Because right now it doesn't feel like either side knows what's going on, according to Doc.
The agents know what they want to have go on. And I'm assuming the owners are talking to the agents.
And they're probably telling Giannis something a little different than what they're hearing to get him to be on their side.
Yeah, who knows? Who absolutely knows? All right, what's next on Charlie
Next up, we're going to head on over to Madison, where Mason Posa, a star freshman linebacker last season, returning to the Badgers this year, was saying he would die for Wisconsin to start winning again.
It's the place I fell in love with, during my recruiting process. I had 24 offers, could have gone really anywhere, but, this place caught my eye. Coach Fick, I'm a ride or die with that dude. Obviously, like last season, it's not the way we wanted it to go. But, towards the end of the season, you could see, like, putting in the right guys, and just all of us doing our jobs. It just kind of shows that Coach Fick and all of the coaching staff, they can coach really well. And it's just really just coming down to the players and us executing our jobs. But, I just, I'll defend Badger Nation with all my heart. I love this place, and I'm willing to die and sacrifice anything for this program to be winning again.
He's got to be the guy recruiting, man. He's got to be the guy chain recruiting. And like you've seen them do this year, keep all these in-state, highly recruitable kids in state with all the 4-star kids and 3-star kids and whatever else they got going on in this recruiting class. Keep them here. You need that guy to be out in the forefront telling everybody, look, Fickle and these guys know what they're doing. Like, I don't care what the outside noise says. I don't care what you hear on sports talk radio. I don't care what you hear on a podcast or what you read online. These guys know what they're doing. Trust me. I wouldn't be here if they didn't. You need to come here and let's go turn this thing around and be the class that turns this thing around from this rut that they've been in here the last 3 years.
Well, and I think that's what they're doing. This is like the third, fourth different press/interview thing I've seen Mason Posa do since the offseason started. They're getting him out there and they're making sure that this guy that obviously loves this program as much as he does, whether it's true or whether it's because he's got a lot of money from Wisconsin, whatever, he's still saying it out there.
They're
and
not
it should
paying
get guys
him enough.
excited.
They're not paying him enough.
They should pay him as a recruiter too.
They're not paying him enough. I don't care what the number is because it's not that much. It's Madison. It's not enough. They should be paying them more than what they are because, again, like you said, he's kind of trying to become the face here of this program and trying to recruit kids to come here and play and say, I'm not leaving. And that is rare at a program that can't afford to pay all their guys top money.
All right, last up here, we're going to head over to the 611 podcast with Ryan Howard and Jimmy Rollins, where Brewers legend Prince Fielder was on their show, and he was breaking down the iconic earthquake celebration.
That was in March. Like, it was all the way in spring training. And we were like, hey, this year, if we hit a home run, we should all fall down at home plate. And it was whoever hit it, right? And sure enough, it didn't come till, I think, September, probably. You know what I mean? That's why I was pointing around the bases to remind them.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I added a little extra with the dismount. I had my piece.
That was dope. And it's always shown on highlights when they show walk-off home runs. Yeah. They always show that one. MLB will not let that go for a good reason because that type of coordination, one, doesn't happen. Two, is always frowned upon.
Right. And
but when you guys did it, I didn't personally I never take offense, but it's like no one took offense. It was like, oh, wow. True.
You see little league kids do it and stuff. Yeah, it's real cool to see.
That's not true. That is not true. They did that against the San Francisco Giants. Bruce Bochy was the manager. And I'm telling you, when they saw the Brewers in spring training, they were throwing at them in spring training because of what happened in September when they pulled that crap.
Crazy.
That's true story. Ask Tim Allen tonight on the postgame show if you don't believe me. Bruce Bochy was not letting that go. the San Francisco Giants, and they were coming for Prince Fielder and company in Milwaukee that next spring training.
Well, I don't see why it wasn't like directed at the Giants or anything. Yeah, I thought it was
man.
like you said,
remember.
kids were copying it. Like I loved that celebration when I was growing up. That I loved that team, the Beast Mode team. It was awesome. That jump on the home plate with one of my favorite players in Prince Fielder. Like it was just cool. And again, it was all coordinated. Like all those dudes just fell down at the same time. It was awesome. How can you not like that? And it wasn't directed at you.
But I'm just telling you that there were still old school guys that hated that stuff. LaRussa hated that stuff back in the day. Bochy hated that stuff back in the day. And both of those guys, Bochy and LaRussa, are both Hall of Famers. I mean, they're both top-notch managers, but they're also old school managers that believe the game should be played a certain way and were not about all the antics and so forth that the Brewers were doing. The Brewers back then, man, they were standing out amongst everybody else in Major League Baseball because they were having fun and kind of cocky and arrogant and going about their thing, and they could score a lot of runs and do their thing. And that's who that team was. And Ken Maka came in and said, that's enough of this. We're not doing any more of these celebrations. No. We're going old school. And he flipped Braun and Fielder in the lineup that year. They both went in there crying that, hey, we got to get flipped back. This isn't working. Like it became a whole thing. Because Maka took the fun out of baseball. And then after that, they went and got Ron Renicky, and Renicky came in and loosened up the reins a little bit, and they got back to doing what they were doing. Now, the other part that should be pointing out was Maka never had pitching when he was there. He never got the benefit of having really good starting pitching. Renicky did, and Ned and Swain did with Sabathia there at the end. All right, that will do that for the second hour of Wisconsin Sports Daily. Coming up next, Green and Gold Update, J.R. Radcliffe from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel will join us coming up next here on the Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen with you here on a Friday.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
It is that time again. It is the 4 o'clock hour. Hope you are well. J.R. Radcliffe, tracking sports reporter for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, will join us coming up for Green and Gold Update. He did some simulations of the NFL draft for the Green Bay Packers and then put it all into a nice piece. He used our friends over there at ProFootballNetwork.com and their simulation that they do. So looking forward to talking to J.R. Radcliffe. But first, let me tell you, my friends over there at Wendy's. Wendy's really outdid themselves with these new Biggie deals at $4, $6, and $8. The new Biggie deals are bigger and biggier than ever. If you're feeling something snacky, you can get the $4 Biggie Bites. Feeling something medium, get yourself a $6 Biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger. If you want to go full Biggie, buddy, you can get the $8 Biggie bundle with your choice of 2 sandwiches, a small soft drink, and a junior fry. The choice is yours. For a pretty Biggie deal, it's got to be Wendy's.
It's time for your Green and Gold Update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, we turn our attention to the Green Bay Packers. Joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law, one call, that's all. He is J.R. Radcliffe of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. How are we doing, J.R.?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Trying to, plan for whatever's coming from the sky for the 4th time in, 5 days?
I think you lobby for trending sports and weather reporter.
Yeah, well, I think I would get pretty sick of what I'm seeing on the weather screen. I would be very. I'm not as enthusiastic about the weather as I am about sports.
yes, me as well. So let's talk about this concept, this idea that you had for this column, as far as using the draft simulator over there at Pro Football Network and playing out some different drafts that you did here on Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel website.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple concept and pretty fun. This isn't the best draft for mock draft Packers coverage because they don't have that first round pick. Usually around this time, I've written probably 10 to 12 recaps of mock drafts or whatnot. Yep. A little slower this year because most mock drafts only concern themselves with the first round, so that doesn't really apply to the Packers unless they make a trade, and that's not the type of thing you can really predict. So have to get a little creative, and there's plenty of mock draft simulators out there. All of them have different amounts of data in terms of what the Packers' needs might be, who's going to be available, what needs of other teams are. Some are smarter than others. So you run some simulations and let people know who the Packers got. And I think it's cool to dig into some of these names. I think after a while, the names your eyes start to gloss over. There's a lot of guys. It's hard to it's obviously extremely difficult to predict who will be the 52nd player selected in the draft will be. So you just try to give people some names, some framework. And I myself learn a lot about these players. I have not heard of most of the guys who are going, at pick 160 and 201 in the draft. So I'm training myself a little bit along the way to try to get to know some of these guys that might end up really key Packers, even though we haven't heard of them, even as college players at this point.
I am a big fan of that Pro Football Network draft simulator. Now they got the GM mode as well that you can use that I messed around with as well. That's a lot of fun. So I saw that you made trades in these. Now I'll do it on a given night and not make any trades. And sometimes I'll get super aggressive and they make a couple of trades. Did you have any boundaries for yourself on these simulations?
No, if I try to insert myself, which is certainly the more fun thing to do, my lack of knowledge in trying to project some of the 5th, 6th round picks, it just wouldn't work. So I just let the simulation do its thing. And what I like about this site, is it does throw some trades at you. Some of them do not make sense to me. I'm not going to lie to you. I just don't know why the Packers, who only have 8 picks and don't have a first round pick, would trade a 3rd round pick for, a slightly lower 3rd round pick and a 3rd round pick in 2027. I don't know why they would do that. That just doesn't seem like the situation they're in. But I don't know. Brian Gutekunst frequently does things that I wouldn't be able to predict. So I just wrote exactly what the simulation gave me. And I thought that was kind of fun too, and you start to see some of the players based on where they're situated in the third round, second round, third round, fourth round, who they would have to trade up to get, like if they do find themselves in a situation where, say, all the good cornerbacks are off the board and suddenly they're kind of panicking a little bit, what would they have to do to move up from 52? And at what point, like what players have to be gone for that to happen? You can start to see some of that. It is just, this is purely entertainment, like this, I'm not providing my own, I do try to weigh in a little bit with some analysis on players in different stuff, not so much with these simulations, but we're just trying to have a little fun with it.
So J.R. Radcliffe, training sports reporter for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. Follow him on X at J.R. Radcliffe. So the first two mock simulations that you did involved the Packers taking a corner. The third mock simulation that you did that you said was your favorite one, they took a tight end in that third one. Now, again, they have Musgrave, obviously, coming back this year. You have Kraft coming off of injury. They take Eli Stowers, the tight end from Vanderbilt. Your thoughts on why you like that so much at 52? Because I'll be honest, if they take a tight end at 52, I'm not sure how excited I'm going to be knowing everything else they need.
Well, I'm going to that particular simulation, I liked pretty much as a whole simulation. I don't think I would take Eli Stowers either, because he's the next Luke Musgrave. Not a big guy. He's a reasonably large person.
6'3", 239.
Yeah. He's as humans go, he's big, but he's not a big physical blocking tight end. He's going to do what Luke Musgrave does, which is, he had incredible college production, incredible, very good speed. He's just not like a blocking guy. And they kind of already have that. So unless they're moving on from Luke Musgrave, I can't imagine they're putting, two of those guys out on the field. Or pairing Tucker Kraft with just a younger Luke Musgrave. So that's not the pick that I really thought made a lot of sense for the Packers. But this cornerback, Traden Stukes, who they got in 84, LT Overton, an edge rusher from Alabama, who, he's the type of guy who a year ago would have been on those way too early projection first-round drafts, mock drafts, like the draft ends and people are immediately like, here's the first round in the following year. LT Overton would have been on that list. He didn't have that great of a showing as a senior. Production was good, but you could tell that he wasn't maybe at quite that level. Love the idea of getting an edge rusher from Alabama. I just think that sounds right. There's a running back, a very productive running back from Nebraska who was on this one, and a couple other names that I was charmed by. So that one I just liked as a whole unit. I would be kind of surprised if they didn't really address a need with that second pick, like a pick, the cornerback, edge rusher. There's enough there where they could do that with the second round pick. And I just can't imagine, I don't want to say throwing it away on a tight end, but you don't have a lot of chances to upgrade there when you only when the first 51 guys are already off the board. I think you have to hit need, don't you? And again, they'll do what they're going to do, but I really think it's got to be an edge or a corner with that first pick.
What about wide receiver, J.R. Radcliffe?
Ooh,
what about wide receiver? Because again, if you look at some of these other mock drafts of some of these so-called experts that they're doing, and then you look at some of the guys that they're bringing in guys that are 6'3", 6'4", and can run, right? Brazil, that guy from Tennessee, you got Hurst from Georgia State, both bigger dudes that can, taller dudes, I should say, because Brazil is definitely not big, but taller dudes that can flat out run. And it's got me thinking here, man, if they go take a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver in the second round to start this thing off at 52 next Friday night, that's one of two things. Either A, that means they aren't going to sign Christian Watson to a long-term deal and they're trying to find his replacement, or B, they're looking for somebody else opposite of Christian Watson, and Matthew Golden is going to end up being that slot guy after they move on from Jaden Reed.
Yeah, the name you said there, Ted Hurst, really, really intrigues me. And I don't know if that's a guy they would take with that second round pick, but that's a guy they brought in for a top 30 visit, like you said. Big guy, but very, very fluid. I actually did something else at jsonline.com where I spoke to a guy whose draft knowledge I deeply, deeply respect. A guy by the name of Tyler Brook. He has his own YouTube channel. He writes for Acme Packing Company. He's brilliant on this stuff. Just follows the draft all year. And that's a name that he gave me. It was a list of 7 really Packers players who are, they're going to draft one of these guys, right? They're bound to get one of these players at some point in the draft. And Ted Hurst was on that list. And I think that's definitely a name to circle. And once Dontavian Wicks was in Philadelphia, you have to open yourself up to receiver. And the thing I like about Hurst is he's big, but also and speedy, but not necessarily the deep threat. Like he could work just as a standard outside. You could keep Watson. Like he doesn't have to replace what Christian Watson is doing. So yeah, I am intrigued by that. Wouldn't that be something if they go? I mean, it wouldn't be back-to-back first-round picks, but back-to-back first picks in the draft on wide receiver after they went to, full generation without starting their draft at wide receiver. That'd be a wild pivot, but I wouldn't put anything past the Packers.
Talking with J.R. Radcliffe of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Follow him on X at J.R. Radcliffe. What about defensive tackle? That's another position I think where I know myself, I want one or two more big wide body guys that can go rotate in with Hargrave and Devontae Wyatt. With all due respect to Brooks, while he is nice and can be disruptive in the backfield, he's not that big of a dude. And considering how bad they've been against the run, I just think you need bigger, more wide body guys. And based on everything I've read, it appears that defensive tackles may be something that falls out of the first round in this draft coming up. And if that's the case, the Packers could have some nice options there at 52.
Yeah, you know what? Let me give you another name because going back to that story I did with Tyler Brook at JS Online, we have a big guy for you. His name is Dominique Orange.
Yes.
His nickname is Big Citrus.
Yep.
He is a defensive lineman from Iowa State. As you might imagine, this man is a large person, 6'4", 325. And I think he's exactly what they're looking for. He was so essential to what Iowa State was doing. He doesn't have a lot of production because he was just basically assigned to, chew up the front, let our linebackers do the work. And that's how things operated. So he's kind of hiding a little bit as somebody who doesn't have stats necessarily, but is somebody who would fit exactly what the Packers want. So if you are rooting for somebody second round, maybe the third round, I don't know. If you're a good defensive tackle, maybe he could fall out of the first round, but geez, that stuff's in such high demand as the Packers have seen here in the last couple of years. But that's a name. Circle that name. It's an easy one to remember. Dominique Orange. We'll see if that guy's available at 52 or, like I said, third round too. There's a possibility.
I'm all about the Packer way, and I'm all about Brian Gutekunst acting like he doesn't know what relative athletic score is, and they don't use it. And I laugh because you may not call it relative athletic score. You may call it something else in the front offices for the Packers. I understand that, but clearly there is a trend, right? You want to be around 9 on a relative athletic score. You want to have somebody in the Senior Bowl because that's the other part of this they normally like taking. And I would assume a lot of Tyler Brooks guys, if not all of them, probably fit that.
Absolutely. They are the best of the best in athleticism. The Packers have had a type on the again, you're right. They probably have their own system. It's probably not called relative athletic score, but they absolutely know who the athletic freaks are in the draft. And it's frequently the players that they are drafting. So yes, you got one of these guys on here is a 9.99, which I didn't even know that could happen. So yes, they have been kind of playing. They've told us the type of player that they want. The Packers don't often throw major curveballs. They can. Every team does, but they often are getting guys that are just purely athletically gifted. Rashawn Gary is the best example of this because he was a guy who was I think people thought that they reached quite a bit when they drafted him, but the raw athleticism on him kind of lost some of that actually during his tenure in Green Bay. But the whole 5-star pedigree, those types of guys, the Packers love those guys. Packers are interested, and frequently you can take a pretty good guess on who's gonna be a type of player Green Bay goes after.
There he is, J.R. Radcliffe, covers the Brewers, Packers, Bucks, all your favorite ones. Training sports reporter for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. Follow him on X at J.R. Radcliffe. I'm the guest outline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. As part of your job as training sports reporter, are you covering WrestleMania? Because I am just befuddled by the fact that I have ESPN2, I guess, on. I was watching some NFL show or NBA show, maybe. I don't know. And now all of a sudden I have wrestling, WWE wrestling pregame on ESPN. What is going on?
Well, I will tell you, we do have people on staff who are very knowledgeable on the WrestleMania front.
So do we.
When we write about wrestling, which is, I shouldn't say fortunately, to each their own. It's not my thing. It's not for me. But when we do write about it, it does numbers, Sparky. People are reading about this. People love it. They love it. So I am not going to besmirch. Absolutely do your own thing. Again, it's not for me. I tend to focus on things that are going on in Wisconsin and about Wisconsin athletes, et cetera, et cetera. But when we write about it, people want it. People love that stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, J.R. Radcliffe. Be safe tonight, and then hopefully this bad weather is done for at least a week or so.
Yeah, we might get like 48 hours of regular days. We'll see.
I saw the forecast. I saw sun through Wednesday. Don't do that to me now. Don't make me think.
We should be fine.
Yes.
We should be fine.
Yeah, we should be fine. That's what we always say. JR, thank you so much.
See you later, man.
There he goes, JR Radcliffe. Off into the night he goes. Follow him again on X at JR Radcliffe. Time to plead the fifth. Brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. Nominate away. Call in. Text in, however you want to do it. Who do you want to plead the fifth? Who do you want to just say, shh, quit talking about that? Just shush, make yourself look bad. 414-677-1250. 414-677-1250. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't forget, to the leadoff show gets you ready for the game one between the Brewers and the Marlins coming up at 5 o'clock with Tommy Wirtz. Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Hope y'all are doing well. If you are in southeastern Wisconsin, central Wisconsin, make sure to buckle up. Looks like it's going to be a long next few hours with severe weather coming. I was looking at a radar earlier. It looks like it's over Lake Michigan by 10 o'clock tonight. So that helps anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're west of here. So Madison and so forth, they're getting it already. I saw there was a tornado on the ground in Iowa, Minnesota earlier. Central Wisconsin, I know they've already lost power in some parts of central Wisconsin for people I know there. So, yeah, it could be a rough night for everybody. But again, just shelter in place. Make sure you are as good as you can be. Or go to Potawatomi. Step up to the plate and take a shot at winning major prizes in the $300,000 Big League Series at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. April through June, you can win a share of $300,000 in prizes. All monthly promo entries count towards the grand finale drawings on June 26th. Get triple the entries during Brewers home games and score one of 3 all-new Toyota vehicles. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play. Only at Potawatomi. Go to Potawatomi.com for more details. All right. It is Friday. It is 4:24. Close enough. Here we go.
It's a Plead the Fifth Friday, sponsored by Habish and Rotier. Who should have just kept their mouth shut? Who made a bad decision commenting on a topic they shouldn't have? Let's hear who you think should plead the fifth this week on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
Here we are. My thanks to Habish and Rotier for being a sponsor. Appreciate it. This is a fun segment. I look forward to doing it each and every week. Charlie, I'll let you start first because I know you got somebody in your crosshairs
I do.
that you would like to go after.
This is the reigning champ of Plead the Fifth.
Definitely the
Brandon
champ.
Snide of 9 to Noon. You can catch that 9 to Noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff as well. Brandon, this is his 3rd time being put on here.
I feel like he's the fire starter of that show.
Yeah, kind of. He's just like, sometimes he's just so disagreeable.
And
with
he
some of his
thinks you're
things.
going to defend him half the time.
No, and every time
doesn't-
he's going to text me when he hears this and say, dude, you're supposed to be on my side.
Yeah.
Never, dude.
No,
I
no.
can't get behind
No.
this. Brandon says that Lambeau Field needs a roof.
I think it's possible. Yeah, I think they talked about the design of the roof and how it's going to help impact games, or not impact games, I should say, with the wind. And even Josh Allen, you heard it in a little bit of the audio there in case you missed it. He goes, heck yeah, when you mentioned the taking the wind out of the stadium for, you know, what they try to do offensively speaking. And obviously it's off the arm of Josh Allen. And to your other question, I would love a roof over Lambeau Field, John. I would love a roof, a full dome for the Packers at Lambeau Field. I think it doesn't help. I mean, and I would love to hear your perspective on it. What benefit does it have to the Packers? There's no home field advantage when it comes to the bad weather for the Packers. They've proven that over time and time again late in the season. They lost to Tampa Bay, okay, in December a couple of years ago. Like, there is no benefit to playing in the cold, blistering wind and snow and whatnot. Like, they're not built. The Packers aren't built to do that. Like, the NFL is not built anymore like it used to be when they had a fullback in the backfield, number 30, and when they had a running game. It is now built to go 3, 4, 5 wide, spread the ball out, throw the ball. You pay Jordan Love all this money. You have all these wide receivers. Go out and score points. That's the way that the NFL is trending. I would love for them, okay, let's not say full dome, a retractable roof.
All right. So he's right in several aspects of this. He's right in the aspect that they're not built for cold weather. 100%. He's right in the way that the National Football League has gone. 100%. Right on that. From a football perspective, he is right that NFL teams playing with a roof and taking weather elements out of it, if they can't play in warm weather all the time, like if you're down in Florida or something, that is probably the best way to go about it. Let's talk about your Chicago Bears. There's going to be a roof on that damn thing.
Yeah, wherever it is.
Wherever it is, Indiana, Iowa, wherever it ends up, there's going to be a roof on that thing, and Bears fans are going to be just absolutely disgusted by it. But why do you put a roof on it? You don't put a roof on it to help the Bears offense and Caleb Williams. No, you don't put a roof on it to help the field goal kicker. No, you put a roof on it so you can host concerts there and do other things there where you can guarantee that it's going to happen. I can have a summertime concert in Chicago or Indiana or Iowa, wherever they go, and know that, hey, it's going to rain. Cool. I'm going to shut this roof, and we're still going to get to see Group X still have their concert, and it's not going to get rained out, or we're going to have a beautiful summertime concert, and everybody's going to love it. You do it for that reason, to get all the extra revenue that comes along with it. Now, you have the Milwaukee Brewers, who were, I'm not going to say asleep at the wheel, because this was eons ago when they built this thing. This was 25 years ago or whatever. But they didn't think to necessarily heat that thing up as much as they should have heated that thing up, right? It's like 20 degrees warmer than whatever it is outside, but that's still not warm enough to host NCAA tournament games, to host concerts in the wintertime. I mean, they have a lot of downtime at that field where it's literally sitting vacant with nothing happening inside of it. So I understand Brandon Snide's point on a dome or a retractable roof. I understand that. But you shut the NFL down if the Packers end up in a damn dome, folks. Just shut it down. We're done. Right. Let's go home. It's over. I don't want to watch this anymore. Now it's arena football. I'm out. And it's because it's the Packers. It would be like putting the Steelers in a dome. You can't put Pittsburgh in a damn dome just as much you can't put Green Bay in a dome. Some of these, I mean, the Bears, to be honest with you, it should be in the same category, the same boat, but they obviously don't care about the traditions of the National Football League down there. They're just trying to figure out how to get a stadium built to make money.
And the difference between the Bears and Packers, the Bears are going to be in a new stadium. Like that's what the difference is. So it doesn't have the same kind of history behind it.
Packers are going to be eventually. Now, it may not be in our lifetimes, but eventually they're going to have to get a new stadium.
But right now you're still at Lambeau. And right now you got to keep what makes Lambeau. And I get it that people get mad that the seating isn't the greatest, that they pack too many people in there sometimes, that it snows and it may not help the team. But the game that I've gone to, the one game I've been to Lambeau, was against the Eagles, and it started snowing, and it was one of the most magical experiences of my life. The game didn't end that great. The Packers ended up losing, but at the same time, walking into Lambeau, being packed in like a sardine with all these different fans, having it snow on my head as I'm watching one of the greatest, most historic franchises play football in one of the most historic places on earth, that's what it's meant for. And I think that fans love that experience. And you're right that you have to go and change the way that the league works and the way that the stadiums are built together. But at the same time, I think you have to find a way to keep this history that's behind the Green Bay Packers in this situation here. So as we continue going forward and looking at how to fix these stadiums and how to keep these history behind them, at the same time that you want to update them, you got to find a way to keep it the same as it was, to give fans that experience who may not have been able to have that experience before. So
it's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you, along with Charlie Usen. And again, this is a situation here when we start talking about where we are with this deal with Plead the Fifth, where Brandon Stein gets picked on some. He does. But it's fair. Like, we just got to have better takes at some point, Brandon. Have to have better takes. Now, I got nominated as well in this whole deal, as far as saying something wrong. I got to go look back and find where my nomination is on this. I don't know if Charlie can see it or not, but I got nominated earlier in the show for Plead the Fifth. Oh, here we go. I found it. No problem. I got it here. Nate, North Milwaukee. I nominate two people for Plead the Fifth. Number one, Sparky, for his take on letting Giannis pick the head coach to stay in Milwaukee. Pick someone who you feel can be good with or without Giannis. So I get nominated because I want Giannis to be able to pick the head coach. That's absolute complete nonsense. It's just absolute. I mean, it's fine. I'll take
I
my
think that's
lumps.
Your third nomination now too, though.
Is it my third?
I think you're tied with Brandon Stein now.
I don't remember the first two, but okay, either way. And then the second person, Nate in North Milwaukee, nominated was Pat Murphy for his booing comments. You play like hot garbage. You deserve to be booed. I understand why you had to defend McGill, but Murphy also said we shouldn't boo the traitor. He gave us his right to be cheered when you go to a rival. Murphy, so next, just plead the fifth for Pat Murphy. I would tend to agree that Pat Murphy probably should plead the fifth on that one as well. And in fairness to Brewers fans, they did come back and cheer Trevor McGill. In fact, some of those people were standing and cheering Trevor McGill as he walked off the mound yesterday.
And that's what you should do. You should be able to, I think, as a fan, have these feelings of anger with these players. But at the same time, as when you're angry with them, when they pitch well, that's what you're there for.
Right.
You should be excited for that. You shouldn't continue booing just because you had a vendetta against them at one point. Yeah, it was frustrating that you bought a ticket for that game and that's the game he blew. But this next game, he did a little bit better. And that's what you got to cheer him on for sure.
No question about that. What else do we have for Plead the Fifth?
I got one more here. This is Draymond Green on the Draymond Green Show, who's only been nominated twice, less than Brandon Snyder and yourself. But he was discussing the LaMelo Ball and Bam Adebayo situation.
I think I can speak to this as good or better than anyone because I am actually someone that my ankle got grabbed and I stumped on the chest. And when the guy grabbed my ankle, there was no fines. There was no suspension to him. There was only suspension to me. But I said, yo, so him grabbing my ankle means nothing? He can just cradle my ankle like this while I'm trying to run? And what I said back then was, unfortunately, I have to get hurt for them to do something to him. And that's a shame. That's a shame. If Bam Adebayo doesn't get hurt, LaMelo Ball doesn't get a fine. But let's take it a step further. I'm happy they didn't suspend LaMelo for a game because you can't suspend him just because he got hurt. And we saw the same thing when Sabonis grabbed my ankle and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. So you can't have it both ways. Got to pick a side. Now, was it an intentional trip? To me, he grabbed his head and he pulled him. Yes, it was an intentional trip. Was he intentionally trying to hurt him? No, I don't think LaMelo's thinking, I'm about to grab Bam's ankle. He's going to fall on his ass and hurt his back.
I don't believe you. So first of all, I agree with you, Draymond Green, on Plead the Fifth here, brought to you by Havish, and Rotier. I agree with you that they should have also been penalized or whatever for grabbing your ankle. Now, what you did should have had you suspended and kicked out way longer than they let you do for what you did to Sabonis, if we're being fair at the end of the day. But Sabonis is an instigator as well, like Draymond. In the instance of Draymond, guys, this is just like Dennis Rodman was back in the day, folks. I mean, if you rub people the wrong way over and over again and do crap over and over again that, you know, irritate people and are perceived as dirty and so forth, you are not going to be given the benefit of the doubt. They're always going to come down harder on you than everybody else because they've warned you so many times and you refuse to listen and just continue to do what you do and then cry that it's unfair. Well, they've tried helping you several times and you don't want to hear about it. So while I agree that, yes, that's unfair, Halliburton, I don't see how you don't find Halliburton. And I would have argued you probably should have suspended him.
LaMelo.
Not LaMelo Ball.
I know you.
Yeah, LaMelo Ball.
I know you don't like Halliburton.
No, LaMelo Ball. I'm sorry. LaMelo Ball, I give finding him. And then they came out and said, who was it that came out and said, Spoelstra came out and said that, you know, there shouldn't be anything more done. Because there are some people that say he should be suspended for a game for that nonsense. And they only fined him at the end of the day for the next round of the playoffs. So I would think I would have suspended him for a game, like I said, but he got away with only a fine. You have anything else here?
Nope, that was the last one. I do want to say one thing. That's the stupidest thing he ever said on Earth at the end there. Where he's like, well, yes, he meant to trip him, but he didn't mean to hurt him.
Yeah,
like,
come on.
With inherent tripping, I think you have to think there's hurting coming at some point with that.
But
dude, come on.
Draymond's point is he didn't think he'd hurt him like that. He thought he caused him to fall down, but he didn't think he would cause him to miss the rest of the game.
7-foot dude that is huge. He's going to fall and get hurt. Like, those guys are massive. They're going to get hurt.
I hear what you're saying. Coming up next, we'll follow the money with Austin Herdina. He's down there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Must not be in a good mood. I don't see any flames today. We'll find out what he's got for us. Coming up next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky, Fiver with you. Charlie using the other side of the glass. People, I just saw something on social media. Another comment by Doc Rivers. If you're anti-Doc, you are not going to be happy with Bucs ownership. I'm telling you, you are not going to be happy with Bucs ownership if you are anti-Doc, because you are going to lose all faith in Bucs ownership when I play this clip for you in a little bit. But before we do that, let's do this.
It's a plead the fifth.
We already
Friday.
did plead the fifth. See, what an idiot. I got so excited about the clip, I hit the wrong damn thing.
It's time to follow the money with Austin Herdina, the sportsbook manager of the Potawatomi Sportsbook on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM, The Fan.
Well, you made him use the cool spinning logo when you hit the wrong intro, so you had to go with the fire instead. But the spinning logo is cool too.
Oh, screwed it up. Right there on X and on YouTube as we stream live. X was down for a little bit during this show. So I'm glad it's apparently back up now. You can check us out at WI Sports Radio. And, of course, I got Austin Herdina, manager over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. How are we doing today, Austin Herdina?
We're doing very, very well. I'm excited for all the action. We got play-in games tonight, and the NBA and NHL playoffs start tomorrow. It's exciting.
No playing games are exciting. Unless my team's in it. I don't care about the NCAA tournament playing games. I don't care about NBA playing games. None of that.
Games. Have you not been watching them? They've been great games.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. I'm sure they were great games and so forth. And we talked about a couple of them or whatever in passing. Am I making an appointment scheduling? No, I'd rather watch the damn Brewers. If the Brewers are on against an NBA playing game. Now, again, if I'm at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, I can watch all of it. Right? Then I can be really excited. I have a hard-hitting question.
Yes.
How busy do you get when there is threat of bad weather in the area? Do more people come and figure, I'm safe, I'm at Potawatomi, we're good? Or does it actually affect people from coming to the Potawatomi Sportsbook?
It's a great question. I'd say during the weekdays, I think it helps us. I think more people are coming in, especially people that normally have outdoors jobs in the summer or something like that. Sure. They come in more. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think it plays a huge factor one way or another, but it is nice that we still can get the games on. Even with the bad weather, we have other ways that we can still show the games. So it's still somewhere you want to be if you want to come watch the games.
No doubt. Reserve your seat today. Go to Potawatomi.com.
And you don't need to pick and choose, like you said. You want to watch the Brewers game, you want to watch the play-in games, we'll have them both on big TVs tonight. So you just come on in and enjoy yourself, to get some food. We got our $10 brat beer and chip special going on this all month. So it's great time to come to Potawatomi Sportsbook.
I've not seen anything come across my email. Are you not doing anything for WrestleMania?
We are not.
Oh boy.
We felt like with it being the same time as the opening of the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, we had to prioritize.
Are they the same fans?
Some are, some are not.
Yeah.
We could have done something where we had it in a different area. It didn't necessarily have to be in our main sportsbook area. It could have been in our annex area. But it was something that I don't know. People outside of my realm are the ones that make those decisions.
No, I was just curious. I didn't see anything come across. I figured I'd ask. We had somebody message in earlier today and asked how much money they should put on Coleman Crow tonight against the Marlins. And I said, well, I'll ask Austin Herdina and see what he likes involving the rookie Coleman Crow making his debut tonight for the Brewers as a pitcher.
So the price right now on the Brewers minus 108. So it's pretty close to a pick'em game tonight in Miami. This is a matchup where we usually get a lot of money on Brewers. Every time the Brewers win, we can just anticipate losing money on that game. But so far, I mean, there's still some time yet, but so far, we haven't seen all that much money on Milwaukee. So I don't know if it's people doubting it or just want to kind of wait and see with him. But with the Brewers at the Marlins tonight, you got an hour and a half till game time. So you want to come on and watch that game, we'll have it for you.
3,000 RPMs on this dude's curveball. Dude, that is crazy. That is crazy. for Coleman Crow, pitching tonight for the Brewers. Leadoff show coming up at 5 o'clock with Tommy Wirtz. You'll hear good old Austin Herdina back on that show as well. All right, so where's all the money going this weekend at the Potawatomi Sportsbook?
So a lot of people are betting on these playing games. So like, I know you weren't too excited about it, but listen, NBA is really unpopular with us, and we love the basketball bettors. Charlotte Hornets -3 at the Magic is the first game tonight. Everyone's betting the Hornets.
1 second. We have a resident Magic fan in Charlie. Charlie, who are you taking tonight? New Orleans? Did you say who is it? It's Charlotte.
Charlotte
and Orlando.
Charlotte. I have no faith in Orlando right now. They've been playing awful towards the
I'm
end of the
glad you figured it out finally. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Everyone's on Charlotte, and they've been a really trendy team to bet like the last few months. People love Con Kniffel and Con Kniffel too, like breaking the record for most years by a rookie. Just the way they play is pretty entertaining to watch. And Orlando, I feel like they gave up a lot for Desmond Bane. Hopefully the Bucks can get a bigger package than that for Giannis. But yeah, it's Orlando. I don't think they went into this year thinking they had to win tonight to get in the playoffs. So it's been a down year for them for sure.
Hey, let me ask you. Hold on. Let me ask you. Well, there was a trade proposal that was out there yesterday from Bleacher Report that we did. I want to see if you would do it as a Bucks fan. You give up Giannis, you get Banchero back, Wendell Carter Jr., a first-round pick swap in 2031, and their pick in 2032 in the first round.
Yes, I do that deal.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
I'm Banchero he's inconsistent. That's something I'll say about him. He had a pretty rough game the other night, but he's pretty solid. I went to the Bucks Magic game just a couple months ago when they were in town. And he scored like 30 something. Didn't even play the fourth quarter because the Magic won by like 30 some points. But yeah, he's a solid player, and he can fit. He's going to have a long future ahead of him. So I feel like you get that as well as another player and some more picks. I think that's a pretty good scenario for us. I understand if you want to hold out a little more, but I don't see why Orlando would want to do that. The only way they would want to do that is if they're getting like a long-term contract extension with the deal. You know what I mean? Why would they want to just be honest for 1 year?
I don't know. I have no idea. I will say this. I think the East is done. I think Boston wins the East in the NBA. I think that's already over. You don't even have to watch it. I'll tell you what the ending is already. Now in the West, that's a little bit different. I think the West is a little bit more wide open than the East at this point. All right, go on. What's your next game?
The Warriors and the Suns. A lot of people are betting the Warriors, thinking that they still got a little bit more left in the tank.
Love for Steph Curry. Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest, though, I mean, they are, they have won this group, right? It's Curry, Draymond, Kerr, the coach. They've won championships before. So, I mean, can you really blame them to bet on them in a one game tonight against the Suns? Like, I understand why people are betting them.
You're a couple years away from a senior citizen discounts. Well, this is not prime Curry and Draymond. Let's stop here. I mean, Kerr may retire at some point here soon.
Yeah, I agree. I understand where you're coming from. But are the Suns really special?
No, they're not either. No, I agree. So where's the money on Golden State, you said?
Golden State. So bettors are on the Hornets -3 and the Warriors +3, both road teams tonight.
There you go. Go jump on the bandwagon. Austin Herdina is telling you where everybody else is doing on the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Head on down there. Park at their garage. There's a ton. It'll keep you safe from hail and anything else that may occur tonight. And again, go online, get more information. Potawatomi.com. Austin Herdina, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Have a good one.
There he is, Austin Herdina. Follow the money on the guest highline. One call, that's all, powered by Gruber Law. Let's see where we going next. Oh, in case we missed it, well, we've got to do this one here.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, so Doc Rivers was on the Ringer podcast. Check this out.
So that's it for coaching for you think? What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, we met about, I want to say 7 weeks ago, and we had me and ownership, we had a great meeting. They asked me what I wanted to do. One of the owners says, one plan is if we do this, you can hang in there for a year or two. And I literally said, oh, no.
Right.
No, I was a matter of fact. I told my coaches, like, I'm done. I love coaching. Loved it. I had a lot of success at it. I had some way more ups than downs, but at the end of the day, I've given 40 years, 47 years or whatever. I don't even know how old I am. Straight, Bill, like with no off time. And I just wanted a break. I wanted to get away. The grandkids and just life in general, man. But right now, I can tell you, Bill, I think it was time. So I'd be surprised if I coached another game. I'll put it that way.
Hey, man, Doc Rivers just said he met with ownership like 7 weeks ago, and ownership said, hey, man, so one of the plans, which is good to hear they actually have plans. I told you they had to have plans. One of the plans is you coach for another year or two. They weren't going to fire Doc. If Doc said, I'm good, I want to stay, Doc was staying and Doc was coaching. Doc is only out because Doc wanted to be out. That ownership group was going to roll with Doc Rivers. He just said it. You can coach for another year or two. Oh, my goodness
you're
gracious.
Saying, Doc, thanks for doing that, champ.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I pray for Bucs ownership because they've got to figure this out. I don't know if they will. That's not good for the future. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Join Night Wisconsin. Have a good one. Toodles.